the video, guys.
Hey there, I'm Alyssa, and I'm the co-host of Sweet Brown Girl, where we speak our truth on women, relationships, and religion. And at the beginning of
professional by day and a real estate entrepreneur by night. I am a wife, a sister, a daughter, and a friend, connoisseur of spicy food, good coffee, and black culture. Gospel, black liberation, and unapologetically a black Christian.
And I'm your third co-host, Marvelyn, an administrative assistant and an actress.
Welcome to season 2. We have
season 2
headed your way. We're super excited about it.
We said that for season 2 we would have like real sound effects, but that didn't happen, y'all.
It didn't happen. Okay, we're trying our level best here. We're trying our level best here.
We got one new thing. Well, we got 2 new things. Like, go ahead.
Oh, yes. The one new thing is the video, right? So you guys get to see us. And then the second one is obviously Marvy, our third co-host. You know, a really good friend of ours who has really good insight on a lot of things and all things Black women. And I would say, like, the third thing, wouldn't you say, guys? The third thing would be that we changed the structure from being just relationship focused to most things Black women focused.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that that's going to really give us some insight and some really good content to be able to share with you guys.
Yeah, so I guess it's still kind of relationships, but just like not just like a romantic relationship, but a relationship with everything, with the world around us.
And a relationship with ourselves. Indeed. Because you got to love yourself before you love
with
anything.
Jesus. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
So Starr.
Yes.
The structure is pretty much season 2. For season 2, the structure is pretty much the same. And so we're going to go to Starr for our In the News. What are we going to talk about today, Starr, for In the News?
Yeah, so we're maybe a week or 2 late. Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B released a new song and video called WAP. And some people call it WAP. It just depends on where you're from.
Who calls it WAP?
I've heard it been called WAP. But anywho's, it's gotten to number 1. And it also has gotten a lot of attention across the internet.
It has.
From men and women alike. And there's just a lot of opinions and thoughts around it from a lot of different points of views.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about what comes to mind when you think about it, or when you see it, listen to it, or the idea around it?
I think, okay. So I have heard the song. I think it's very catchy. And even the clean version, just based off the beat, because that's an old beat.
That Wet and Gushy?
No, the background.
No, I'm talking about the clean version.
No.
Is that what they say?
I'm talking about the background music.
I know, like it's
because it's house music that I've heard in Detroit before. So, yeah. So I think that's what makes it so catchy, right? That it's a catchy beat. But I think the controversy surrounding it is that people are saying that it's a really nasty song. And based off of that, it has me thinking back to like when we were growing up. I used to sing, "You can ring my bell, ring my
or to the window."
Exactly.
Wait. Ring my bell? Ring my bell has a different connotation. I never knew that.
Yes, you can ring my bell, ring my bell.
I did
Ring-a-ling-a-ling. She wasn't talking about the front door.
Oh, wow. Where have I been?
Or that Marvin Gaye song?
Which one?
Let's get it on.
Okay, those are totally different. Those are like discreet. Those are this. There's
No,
nothing.
at some point he says my temperature is rising.
So, temperature is rising. Do you know, like, I've only heard a couple of the, okay, so from my perspective, this is Marvelyn. I have not heard the song. I've heard a couple of.
Wait, let me interject first.
Go ahead.
Star's comment, her song was a good reference too, because to the window,
To the window, to the wall, to the wall. We played that at my wedding. What?
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty graphic. Yes, I'm not.
There's a lot of them.
Oh no, there are. There's a whole song. Can we say the word P word? There's a whole song P word.
No, we can't say it because it's gonna go on YouTube.
Yeah. But, for those who do not know what the P word is, I would advise you to go to Urban Dictionary.
They know. They know.
Just in case. We are not talking about a kitty cat that goes meow. That's all you need to know. So that's what the P in WAP stands for. The other letter stands for wet. ASS.
They know, Marvelyn.
They know, Marvelyn.
You're the one who hasn't listened to it. You're the only one.
Exactly. And I'm here for the people.
They know it don't mean worship and praise.
I did see that. I would like to believe that it stands for worship and praise, because I mean that's what I plan to do, worship and praise. Once I get that said husband that I'm looking for.
Once I get that husband, I'm gonna do WAP, and it ain't gonna be worship and praise.
Why can't?
It'll be worship and praise, but
it is worship and praise.
What I'm saying is, I'm not gonna use it as.
I mean, to each their own. But anyway, for those who like to keep their ears pure and might not be privy to all of the things going on in pop culture, music culture, I would suggest you look it up.
Okay.
No, but you had some insight, remember?
Yeah, what's your thought?
You said the songs back in the day were not as graphic, but.
Yeah, no, the songs back in the day were not as graphic. And I think a lot of what we're seeing is that people are saying like, oh, this is very unladylike to be talking in this manner, but we give men a pass for all of the graphic things that they say. I think that's some of the, I'm sorry?
No, go ahead, babe.
Oh, no, I was just saying that I think that's what some of the at least the little that I have seen has been like people saying like, oh, this is just filthy, it's dirty, as if men don't do this stuff all the time. But somehow it's worse when a woman is talking in great detail about things that she is doing with her body. These women are creatives, they are artists. And whether you agree with what they're saying or not, they're very good at what they do. I personally am not really a big fan of like vibing to this type of song, just due to the content. I haven't seen the video, but I think that they're talented. They shouldn't be treated any different than men for what they do. If we're gonna like level the playing field that way, that's just my opinion.
Yeah. What about you, Starr?
Yeah, I feel similarly. I think it's hilarious to me that it's getting like, I'm like, where y'all been? I feel like the music in the 90s and early 2000s have had some, I mean, even before that, but I'm specifically talking about like hip hop. I mean, Lil' Kim wasn't conservative by any measure, any means. I mean, it just seems weird to me. Like it really confuses me. And when I watched the video, I was like, this is what people mad about? Like, I've seen way worse with videos. Like, when I say, like, that video was like, this seems normal for the, for
a credit card and slid it in between the girls' butt
cheeks. People, like, soaking wet, oil dripping down, thong. Ain't nobody even had on a G-string in the video. Like, I mean, Cardi B, her boobs was out, but her nipples were covered. So it's like, but they had girls walking around naked. Like, men have had women literally walking around naked in music videos with a string, literally only a string, topless, like in music videos. And these women did not do any of that. Even like the dancing was pretty conservative for the content, in my opinion.
I think so. I think that there's definitely a double standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's that song? It's the song where they have like the bed sound in the background. What it is, yo, or what's up? Like, there's so many songs and instances of where men are like displaying, like, you know what I mean, like their sexuality, and they obviously they want to sleep with us, right? But like, we're not supposed to be able to show that side of ourselves.
But they have women in the videos who do worse. Like, you use women literally as props, like literally like a coat hanger in your video.
It's a double standard.
Like a mic, like a mic stand. Like, you, this is how you use your videos, but naked.
Literally using them.
And then do you want them to be like, oh, I just want my women to be more conservative than that. But no, like, even if you have a conservative woman, sometimes, like, I mean, I'm not saying in all relationships men cheat, but then if they do cheat, they're cheating with the non-conservative woman. They're not cheating with another conservative woman. You know what I mean? Like,
here's my question. Do you think it's because there has been such a lull? I mean, again, like, I'm not really watching music videos like that, but do you think it's because there has been kind of like dip in like what people would consider like graphic content coming from women from like what we used to see in the 90s? Do you think like all of a sudden, because it was put in this way, that people are like, oh gosh, like I don't know, I'm like genuinely asking.
They had something to talk about. Do y'all know that song? Maybe Starr, maybe you do, Starr. And it's that song called Lick, and I can't remember who it's by. It's by a female.
I want to.
No. It's by a female rapper, and it's called "I Lose All Control When You Lick." And the whole song, she's talking about a man going down on her. Her name Kaya. Kaya. She, whatever. So like that entire song, like she talked about a man going down on her, and like it wasn't controversy about that.
I think it's just like, because these are two artists that are like, they're on and popping, they're popular, they're both like very big personalities, and people just always have something to say. Like, people can't just let people live.
I think it's because in the energy around the women is not that we are for your consumption. It's like you are at our disposal, and it's putting women in the power position. And even like the sense of like, you too broke to get some of this, or you know, like, or whatever. Like, I determine what qualifies you, and for so long the narrative has been like that women pretty much didn't have value, because if you're using them as coat racks, like you can't really find them as valuable. Like, or you're talking about her and her friend, and like, you know, you're like using, like, seeing women as interchangeable, and then now, like, based on the tone of the music of the women in the music, they are pretty much disqualifying some men from being able to get at them.
Not to mention their music is like chopping, so they're doing better in a field that's predominantly like ran by men. So of course men are going to be in this.
It's like a form of women empowerment. But then also, like, what did you expect from Cardi B and Meg? Let's be real. Now, if this song was if this song's from Beyonce, you like, okay.
But even Beyonce started to get more sexual in the past. Like, Beyonce has gotten more sexual than not this sexual, but she's gotten more sexual over time than anything.
Right.
So
she has, but I'm saying if she came out with a song called WAP, you're gonna be like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, like,
people would still talk.
I think for Cardi B and Meg, this is right in their lane.
Right. Cardi B came up from being a stripper. Cardi B came up from being a stripper, and Megan Stallion from twerking. Like, I don't.
So this is within their wheelhouse. Like, they make songs like this all the time. It's talking about hot girl summer. Like, she talking about, I don't care about nothing you got going on. I'm about to be bouncing from guy to guy. You know what I mean? Like, this is about to be a hot girl summer. So, like, I don't understand why men have such an issue with it. But my thing was, I saw a meme that said, like, y'all want to be like Meg, the Stallion, and like Cardi B. And yeah, men don't sleep with you, but they're not going to marry you.
But who says that that's what they want? But Cardi B is married. But isn't Meg the Stallion?
Yeah. And then also,
like,
I forgot my train of thought. Sorry.
No, I mean she's married. And like so it's like but y'all are. But y'all are.
But y'all are though. Like
But even if Cardi B wasn't married, who says that that's what like you can't tell a woman that should be her end all be all and that everything that she does in her life should be around pleasing a man. Again, you're now making yourself the focal point in this of a woman should tailor her actions to get a ring. Like that's not your whole life.
Yeah.
Like prize. Now, like there are men like who marry strippers. There are men who marry porn stars. There are men who marry church girls. Like there are men who marry what they find attractive.
Exactly.
And there are men who don't marry who don't marry the Cardi B's and Megan Stallions, but are following them, liking their pictures and sliding their DMs, even though they got a church girl at home. So please miss me with that. Also, miss me. Like I'm not saying that I'm not out here twerking or whatever, but I'm not gonna like again, like you said, this is who like why would you expect anything else? Like you're not talking about somebody who like switched up the game. And I'm not saying that they are role models for every woman, but I just don't think like given everything else that's going on in the world, given all the types of music that has been made, all the secular music, like I said, so the Window to the Wall was played in my wedding. So if I was like, oh no, I wouldn't like that would be hypocritical. Like these songs, these types of songs we hear every day, and I don't think the clean version really ain't that bad. Like as far as like it's not worse than any clean version of any other sexual song.
The explicit version has an initial shock value, just basically because I don't listen to like I listen to music like that sometimes if I'm like at a bar or something like that. But like I don't regularly listen to it. But in regards to like saying like men ain't gonna wife women like that, we don't care.
We don't care. It's not true.
Gone are the days where we are like doing things for men's attention or like their relationship. You know what I mean? Like we don't care. And I think that's the part that's really. You got a finger?
That's what I thought.
Oh, and I think that's the part that really messes with men is because you're used to us literally doing everything for men overall, like their approval, and we don't care. You know what I mean? We don't care.
So I remember my question. My question was, have you guys been seeing that it's men who are saying these things or are women also saying these things?
Mostly men. I see mostly men saying it. And then obviously you have your subset of the Christian folks who are like, what this is I'm like, there's so much worldly stuff out here. This is just another thing. Like it's not different from any of the other stuff that you watch that you or listen to that you shouldn't be listening to. Like, so I'm saying, like, it's that category. If you don't want to listen to it, that's fine. I'm not telling you listen to it if you're a believer. So, like, to me, it's not a Christian conversation because if that's not content you listen to, and if I want to listen to it, I'm married. You know, like, if that, like, even if I am a Christian, I still don't see an issue with it. You know, as long as you're not engaging in acts or whatever. But that's just, you know, your personal convictions. But I see a lot of men saying it, and I also see women, but I feel like it's mostly Christian women who are saying something about it. I don't know if there are a lot of non-Christian women. I mean, like, it's like, if they are, I feel like those are kind of like, I hate the, like, the pick-me kind of women who are like, see, this is why men don't, see, I don't do that kind of stuff. Like, and to me, that's annoying. Like, if you don't do it, then shut up. But, like, go listen to something that you do. Go watch something that you do. Like, but I just don't see the value in something that isn't like directed at you personally. That's not like putting down, like it's not like it's racist or, you know, homophobic or whatever the thing is that it's actually like putting down another group of people that you could feel personally offended by. It's not, they're talking about their own WAPs. They ain't talking about your WAP. So if they want to talk about their WAPs, let them talk about their WAPs.
If you're a Christian woman, you don't listen to it. I mean, that's you, but you cannot hold other women who are not Christian women to your particular Christian women standards.
This is very true. I would also say, because, you know, I like to play devil's advocate all the time. I'm wondering if the reason why they're saying these things are because they feel that this might be contributing to the reason why men are expecting women, their girls, their women, so like, you know, act like this, look like this, or what have you. Because I know some women are like, well, these women are giving us bad news, and not that I say drag anybody in anybody's comment section for anything that they're doing that they disagree with, but I'm wondering if that's where they're coming from.
I don't care. Just because
I don't think that somebody else can give you a bad, like, I don't really think, like, they don't speak for all women.
Yeah.
Like, same way a black person doesn't speak for all black people.
Right.
Like, they don't speak for all women. If that's not you, that's not you. And if a man really, like, will take one music video with these two women and characterize all women by, like, that's a man that doesn't have much depth.
And also you don't want.
Right. I'm saying, like, who wants a man who would say, you see, this is what all the women doing. Like, how many women do you see out there twerking in
knowing me, I'm gonna be like, oh, that's what women do because they pay. Okay. So should I go ahead and be a go-getter like them, an entrepreneur, not saying in that particular manner of, y'all know me, not in that particular manner of like showing my body or whatever, but they're paid. Like Megan Stallion still goes to school. She don't need no degree at this point. She still be sitting on her bed studying for school. You know what I mean? Like, oh, should I be a go-getter? Is that what you're referring to? And second off, like, I don't care what you think. What's for me is for me. Okay. And if that was my man, or if he was the one that got ordained for me, then I ain't got to worry about all that other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous for someone to say, like, see, this is what women are, X, Y, and Z. Like, and even if you're talking about the standard and all that kind of stuff, how these Instagram, like, you can see more on Instagram than you can in their videos, of far more. And so it's like there are far worse examples of women.
On OnlyFans and see
right.
a whole
like a whole people who do sex work as their full-time work, and that exists regardless of this video isn't even the worst. That's what I'm saying. Like even as a music video, when I saw the music video, I was like, this is what people are mad about.
Have too much time. It's pandemic time and people got too much time. So
most of the time they were walking down the hallway.
Yeah. And they were doing like little routines, but with their skimpy outfits, but that's normal. The part that
doing regular dances
out, and I was just like, that just doesn't look.
And she was twerking on the split. She twerked on the split in any given video.
Cardi B done made some way worse videos.
The worst thing in that video was Cardi B's boobs, but
it was, and it just looked weird. It just was not.
It was strange, but at the same time, like I said, I've seen worse in the music video. But I'm saying that was the worst. I feel like that was the only thing in the video that could potentially ever be a like jarring. The only thing in the video, in my opinion.
Like, somebody made a reference from like WAP to like Melania Trump, and was like, it was like the women that are in WAP are not like respectable women like Melania Trump. And she was like, didn't she sell WAP though? And then she posted a picture of Melania Trump butt naked and was like, look like she's selling WAP right here to me.
Marvelyn, watch the video with the sound off.
With the sound off? No, I'm
okay. I'm just saying, I thought you were trying to avoid the song, but
no, I mean, I just feel like I needed to watch it. I wasn't really pressed to watch it. Like I've enjoyed seeing all of the like spin-offs. There's one guy who has his like sons cleaning. It's like there's some chores in this house.
Oh yeah,
there's
that's
some
my favorite one. It's a woman that
I
does
love seeing all that. But yeah, no, I haven't seen the video. I'll probably watch it. But I just pick up on songs really easily, so I just don't want to be like singing that just for shiggles in my head.
Don't even worry about it. It's fine. You ain't missing nothing.
It's actually more laid back than I expected to. It's not really like.
I don't know. I expected a whole for JJ and a credit card sliding through somebody, but I don't know.
Right. Like I've seen even more twerking, like in the City Girls videos.
Yeah, I've seen more. I've seen way worse.
Right.
So, normally we would do story time.
I got one.
Alyssa's not dating right now.
Oh, you have a story, Starr?
No, me? Well, I have a story.
You want to tell us about your date? You went on a date recently.
Right, Marvelyn, you who went on a date?
Yeah.
Is that why you said Starr? Because we knew you knew.
No, you said I have one.
I said we don't got one.
Do you have one? You went on a date recently.
Very uncomfortable telling this.
Why?
Your eyes are watering.
Are they? I'm just really embarrassed.
Why are you embarrassed?
It's just okay. So I haven't been on a date in a really long time. I'm really bad at this. I just got back on Hinge back in the beginning of August. I hate it. It causes so much anxiety. But anyhow, I went on a date with this guy. We went to a museum, and for the most part, it was fine. He looked, kind of like, I don't know. He just wasn't really my type. The thing that was the most off-putting was when we were talking about like relationships, and we're like, oh, when was your last relationship? Da, 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 da. And then like kind of out the blue, he's like, oh, you ever had any pregnancy scares? I was like, sorry, what?
That's a question.
I was like,
that's a first date question.
Listen, I wish I could tell you, but
First date.
I don't know. But he was definitely, I think he prided himself on being an open book. So he felt like he just wanted to ask me this, I guess, so he could tell me about his experience. Because I was like, no. Have you? And he was just like, yeah, twice. And I was like, oh.
When the woman thought she was pregnant?
What happened? So that he just told me about the situation, and he was like, oh yeah, the first one I knew wasn't mine because my pullout game was strong. And then the second one I was like, why would you be saying these things to me? And he's like, the second one, like I would have been ready for it, but like the condom had broken actually. And I was just like, how do I get out of here? Thankfully, I was already like on the way walking to my car. So I was like,
wait.
You were walking to your car?
See, this is why I don't do this, guys, because I always end up with the random, like, tell me too much info, guys.
Wait, he talked about a condom breaking on the first date with another woman. That is hilarious.
Listen, and he's clearly not over. You said what?
I'm still stuck on the question.
Yeah, exactly. And he's clearly not over his ex. Like, he was like, oh yeah, I had called my ex like a few months ago, just to like see how she was doing. Cause, I really loved her, and I valued our friendship and, wanted to see if we could still be friends. He was lucky that I was so tired because we had literally been walking around the museum for like 3 hours. And he offered to pay for dinner. Of course, I wasn't going to say no. Huh?
So y'all went to the museum for 3 hours and went to dinner?
Yeah, it was a long.
That's been way too much.
That's a long time for somebody you like.
Way too much time together.
Well, I was planning on going to the museum by myself. I didn't think he was actually going to come, and he did come. And I guess he really did want to see like the because I was going to be fine to just do one little wing, and like I thought he had stuff to go do at the house and whatnot, but he stuck around and then still wanted to go to dinner. I was like, all right.
But that's what happened. Y'all spent too much time together, so he ran out of questions, and he's awkward, so he just started saying stuff.
Stop that. Even if I run out of questions, just let it be silent. Don't you dare ask me if I had a pregnancy scare.
That's a crazy question, but I don't know if he knows how weird he is.
I don't think he does. Again, I think he just prides himself on being an open book, and he was just like, telling me all kinds of things, about childhood things, and it's just different things. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm not going to be sharing that much information about me, just so you know. But this was nice. Thank you so much. And you guys would be so proud of me. I was really wrestling in my spirit. I was like, this is really not what I want for my life, but he seems to be doing well for himself. And but I was like, but I don't want, he's just not it. So I was like, okay. And I talked to my therapist about it. I was like, look, I like things in a nice little package, it's just, everything got to be packaged with a bow on it. I was like, do I text him and just tell him it's a no? And she's like, you don't owe him anything. And I was like, I know, but I don't cancel knowing that he might text me. And then I have to be I didn't want to ghost him. So he texted me I think it was yesterday morning, or maybe it was today. I can't remember. And I was like, hey, you know what? Thank you so much again for meeting up with me. Just wanted to let you know, I don't really think that we're compatible, but I wish you all the best. And then he wrote back like, oh, you know, like giant smiley face. And he was like, no worries. I thought the same thing, but that doesn't mean that I can't have friends, right? Like, you know, glad to know you're okay or something like that. I was just like, thank you. Likewise. And that was it. So I'm hoping that he doesn't try to text me again. But I at least felt good in my spirit about being like, I put it out there and I didn't like just leave it hanging in the air to be like, okay, so are we going to meet up again? Da-da-da-da. So that's a win for me, because typically I either will just like freak out and be like, oh God, I don't know what to do, or kind of just let it fade away. But because we spent the whole day today, not today, but because we spent the whole day together, I was like, I feel like I at least need to just tell him no. I would feel bad. I know I don't need to, but I would feel bad just ghosting him like that.
You care a little too much.
I mean, I appreciate.
Yeah, Alyssa,
I give him a whole dissertation, but I think what that stems from is like somebody like reaching back out and being like, hey, well, I actually think we're great together. And and I'm like, but I don't. And so I just hate, I think I have this culture of like, not like feeling like I don't want them to not like me. You know what I mean? Like, or wanting to please others, which I'm actually like working through, because now I'm like, but I will send you a whole dissertation. I'll be like, hey, yes, I thought about it. I don't think it's appropriate if we move forward. Thank you. And I wish you the best. God bless.
Oh, that's good. That's not a whole dissertation. I thought you were going to tell them, like, here are the reasons why we could never.
Oh, no. Because it doesn't matter. It wouldn't work out.
Good. Because I almost
did that. Daddy wouldn't allow me to do that. You said what? Yeah, you would have.
I said I almost did that, but my therapist, like, we're not compatible. I wish you well. And I was like, okay.
I know you were going to do that. I know for a fact.
I think you need to get over your ex. You need to take some time to heal.
Right? He's the next time that you go on a date.
You had whole bullet points. Marvy would have had like legit bullet.
Like she did for that one guy.
We'll talk about that other guy.
I know. That's why I'm not giving detail, because there's another story time.
Oh my God.
That's another story time. I'm like, Marv.
I was like, I'm gonna just walk away.
Y'all know I gotta make it speak everything. Don't give me no microphone.
And wrote a whole thing, and I'm not.
To a man, she never even had his phone number. I'm like, girl, it don't matter. Bye.
Let's go. That ain't your fight.
But isn't it though?
No, it's not. No.
Anyway, that's all for my story.
You about to get heated again?
Until another.
We'll talk about it in another episode. Let's see.
Okay. So for our topic of the day.
I didn't even do my story time song. Y'all made me forget.
Oh, well, that's on you. You know, that's your job. So. Oh, mine was better.
I know. Well, that one wasn't.
I don't like is this what y'all do here? I don't know if I like it here.
You've
been on this podcast. Don't play.
Like 3
don't
times,
play,
bro. Like, why are you? Also, you're friends with us in real life. So why are you acting like this is not how we do things?
What? They don't know.
How many videos we've had? So today we're going to talk about the protection of Black women.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start with a very serious question. Okay. And I just want you guys to go like, yes, no, and then list out the reasons why. I'm going to start with you, Marvy. Do you feel protected by Black men as a Black woman?
Not particularly, no. But I can't say that I've been in too many instances where I've needed to be protected. This is about to go into some daddy trauma. Never mind. I'm good. Yeah.
You can give but that is a Black man protecting a Black little girl.
Yeah.
If you don't want to speak on it, you definitely don't.
Not today, but
you can answer the yes or no question about you said no.
I mean, do I feel protected by a Black? I don't feel like I have enough Black men in my life to know what I feel like in our small group. I feel like those Black men would stand up for me. I do feel that. And the only Black men that I really have in my life that are positive and seem to care about me as a person. So yes, if you count them. Question.
No, I was looking at me and Alyssa's face. This is the thing about being on video.
I know exactly.
You see all my facial expressions.
I didn't even see y'all's facial expressions. Y'all don't feel like the guys in our group would protect us? Really? Yikes! Wow.
Do we have
I don't think.
Okay, so listen to the podcast.
Define protect.
You define protect. You're the one that said you feel like they would protect.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's define protection in our answer. What we see as protection.
Yeah, so you start first, Marvy, and then Starr go. I'll go last.
You gotta be me. Pick the new girl. Like, okay, fine.
You're not new.
I think protect is,
You're not new. This is like your third time being on here.
Well, new as like official co-host. So just let me use the card, okay? Let me just use the new card for at least a day. Fine. So for protect for me would be to like stand up for me. I know that we had a whole conversation with one of the guys in our group that left us kind of questioning, like, but would he amongst his friends stand up for us? But I think standing up for speaking out against wrong treatment or wrong opinions or thoughts about us as women. I don't know that any of our guys would fight. I feel like a lot of them are too delicate to fight. But I think they would at least stand up for us if somebody was talking about us directly, not just like Black women in general. But that's just the small group of men. Somebody else go.
Okay.
Since y'all giving me the side eye, and Alyssa
I
trying to
didn't
give me
say anything. My face remained.
Your face said everything. Your face was like, she reaching. I don't agree, but it's fine.
Okay, so I'll go. Do I feel protected by Black men as a collective? No. I'm married.
That question.
Well, that's the question. She said, "Do you feel protected by Black men?" I am married, and so like there obviously like a societal part of being a woman in marriage is the assumption that your husband will protect you. Do I feel protected by my husband? Yeah, but not like I don't think that. So I really don't. I really think that Black men struggle with protecting Black women, and I feel like a lot of them have to be like convinced or taught to, in a lot of senses. Like not all of them, obviously. So some obviously we're not talking when we talk about some need to be taught or groomed into that. And I feel like I've had conversations with my husband about times where I didn't feel like he protected me, and those settings a lot of times we're in small group. Yeah. And so I don't like, I feel like, I mean, I guess experientially, like I've had men to put their hands on me and like nobody do anything about it. Like in a public space and no one do anything about it. Not since I've been married. So I'm just talking about generally speaking my life. Like while I'm in the skirt and all that good stuff. And I also have had instances where so let me just answer the question about because I know we'll probably get into examples and stuff like that.
What does protection look like?
Yeah, so I think that protection looks like physical, 2 emotional and psychological, and obviously it can also be spiritual, but I don't think that every Black man has that responsibility to protect me spiritually. I think that's a very like limited, like, my husband, my spiritual leader or whatever, but I don't expect that broadly speaking from Black men. But I do expect physical protection and like emotional protection, so like abuse or no, so even like psychological, like, and that's when you talk about somebody defending you against some type of attack on your character. And I think that for me uh as an assertive woman, I've been able to see that more than maybe some other people have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's very real. Do I feel protected by Black men? No. Short answer, no. What does protection look like to me? Protection looks like to me something very similar, like spot on with like what you said. Not only just physical protection, but emotional, like psychological, like all of those things. Not only does my experiences with Black men make me feel that way, not only experiences with Black men that I've had relationships with made me feel that way, but even not even romantic relationships, but like friendships and, you know, but then random strangers on the street have made me feel that same exact way. You know what I mean? And I think that it's a very deep rooted issue. Not only related to my daddy issues and my issues with like the verbal abuse from my ex-husband, things like that, but then also how Black men view Black women, period. I think I don't think overall like we're well respected. I don't think that we're valued. Every time I go to protest, I see more Black women marching for Black lives and Black men's lives than I do for Black men marching for their own lives. I see more Black women standing on the front lines than I do for Black men standing on the front lines for their own lives. And I think that this is not a new revelation. I think that this is something that has continued over time. Even if I took a theology and praxis of Dr. Martin Luther King class, and his letters in the Birmingham jail, he wrote about the men that were in the jail with him, but he had no mention of the 5 women that were also jailed with him in another jail cell. Since like, and those women could have been choosing to fight for, because the civil rights movement and the women's rights movement were happening at the same time. They could have chosen to fight for their own rights as, you know, women, but instead we're standing with our Black men for civil rights, you know, and still, even in that regard, we still didn't get any respect, you know?
And really quick, I just want to intersperse. There's a quote by Malcolm X that says the most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is the Black woman. And I think that is very true today. So to kind of amend my statement earlier, I was kind of giving like my close circle of men that I interact with, but as society, no, I wouldn't say that we are protected by our own Black women. I think more of us die at the hands of our own Black men, or abused by our own Black men. And like you said, yeah, we are out here fighting for them. And sometimes it's like, okay, so then who's fighting for us? If Black men aren't protecting us, and who is protecting us? And then that's why you have so many of us that are just like, well, I have to do right by me. I have to protect my own self. And you know, we continue to perpetuate this. Well, I don't need a man because I can't trust them. My daddy beat me. My mama's daddy beat her, and like the cycle continues. So who can we trust if no one's going to protect us but us?
Yeah, and I think that that's so funny. Like, obviously, I love that Malcolm X quote, but I think that that's so funny that he made that quote, because in his earlier years, not like younger, but like his earlier years of like, you know, he actually had really nasty things to say about Black women until he took that trip to like Africa and was like enlightened and like all these things. So he himself had felt that same way about us.
Yeah. And thank God that men can change. We're not saying that men can't change, but it's 2020 and the cycle still continues.
Yeah.
And I think that it's very important that we're still having that we're able to have conversations now more than ever. And that people are more willing to listen, because I can't say that people were as willing to listen then. You know what I mean?
Right.
What were you going to say, Starr?
I was just agreeing.
Oh. So do each of you want to give an account of just like personally how you have not felt protected by Black men? If you feel comfortable to do so.
I'm not gonna give a specific. Maybe I'll get into it. I'm not sure. I'll just say I have witnessed often and experienced where um I would be in the presence of Black women and men where a Black man would talk down on Black women or me specifically in some way, and other Black men did not correct him. And I think that, so I was talking to one of my colleagues who's a white woman yesterday, and she said something that was really interesting, and I liked how she said it. So she said she had a situation with a guy in the presence of other guys. These were all, I'm assuming they're white men. I'm not sure. And he was like being rude to her, talking about her body and what she was wearing or something like that. And there were other men around her that she knew. And then later on, one of the guys, who's actually now her partner, but this was like before, the next time she saw that guy, he was like, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry I didn't defend you. And then she said that she's told him, I don't need defending. That guy needed correction. And so it's like, it's not about me. Like, he needed to be corrected. And I was like, that is actually a good point. And in the sense of like, do you see what he's doing, what he's saying is bad behavior, right? Like if I wasn't here, if me as a person wasn't here, and he was still saying the things that he was doing or perpetuating the energy and the ideals that he was perpetuating, would you see that as error, and would you correct him? And then in that, so like I think like that's like the root of it is like, do you really even see that as wrong? Right? Do you really see that what he's saying is wrong? And that goes around like the protection of all Black women, because it's easy to like defend someone who is your partner, who is your wife, potentially, because everybody doesn't even do that, right? But theoretically, people talk about, oh, that could have been your wife, that could have been your sister, that could have been your mother. But even if it wasn't, even if you whatever Black woman you put in that position, do you think that whatever kind of abuse, whether that be physical, emotional, intellectual, that she's experiencing, do you see that abuse that's being sent her way as wrong? And then if you see that as wrong, and you correct, and you hold whoever that person or that ideal accountable for that wrong, then it would be a no-brainer to protect Black women, because it could be any Black woman in that sense, because you see the overall violence. When I say violence, I don't just mean physical, the overall violence and abuse against Black women as wrong, and it won't be as hard for you to defend. You don't have to like sit here and rationalize. And that's when it comes to like, I know we'll talk about like Megan Stallion, and it's like, it doesn't matter who that woman was. Like, it doesn't matter if that, you don't have to know that person. You don't have to know that person to understand that the ideal or the action or the violence that was sent in the direction of this person is wrong, no matter who is receiving it. And then again, then you should also value that person who is also receiving that violence and that abuse as well. But I don't know if I answered your question, but I see that a lot, where there will be men who would see me get like talked to a certain way, or talk down, or like talk about women like me, or me as a woman, or me as a Black woman, or Black women to my face, and won't correct them. I'm like, so do you agree with what they're saying, or do you not disagree enough like, are you not offended by that? Are you not offended by that idea?
Just don't want to like trouble the waters, if you will. Like, they don't want to be the ones to get the brunt of, you know, any type of repercussion. So they would rather throw us under the bus than them have to deal with any type of negativity thrown their way, which is just as awful. Like, really? Like, we bring y'all into the world and y'all have the nerve to just sit there and worry about your own self instead of taking care of us? How'd that work? How?
I see that as like the most common. I see that as like probably the most common instance because, and I know that there are so many women, so many Black women, so many who experience like physical violence, domestic violence on a daily that like need like physical protection. But like even if you don't experience that, there's so much like emotional and intellectual abuse. And even when we talk about intellectual, we talk about like manipulation and gaslighting as well, that Black women have to endure, and other men just stand by and watch.
And I think it goes back to slavery, and not to give anybody a pass, but like, they weren't allowed to protect us. They had, I mean, they abused too. So yes, if the guy did say something, he might be at risk of losing his job. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, we know that you're going to be fine because jobs are set up for you to succeed anyway, over us at least. But yeah, I think a lot of it is the trauma from slavery, of just them not being able to fight for themselves and getting heaps of abuse and not being able to protect us. But again,
the reason why I disagree with that is because Black men know how to protect other Black men. And if that was the case in slavery, if you went back to slavery, they were also pitted against each other. They were called, made to fight each other and all kinds of craziness. And when Kobe died, all kinds of Black men came out against Gayle King to give her all that smoke for a dead man. When Kodak Black made a pass at Lauren London, they were quick to defend Nipsey Hussle. And even then, Kodak Black apologized to Nipsey Hussle, who's a dead man, but didn't apologize to Lauren London. He didn't care about her. It was more about the man.
But then also, it's not even for even like, I don't agree that this came from systemic racism. I mean, it stemmed from like slavery. I don't agree with that. And let me tell you why, because this is just basic human decency. If you see one person disrespecting another person, that's basic human decency to be like, yo, chill out. You know what I mean? I think that it's something within us that they feel like, oh, they don't need protecting. And
I do think that it does stem from systemic racism. I just don't think that like that's a good scapegoat.
It was not giving them a pass by any means. Just so
yeah, I know. And the reason why I said that is that a part of that is like their own self-hate, right? Like you hate someone who looks like you, and even like the strong Black woman stereotype came from slavery, and Black women seeming like they don't need protection because they're so strong and they can endure more pain than any other kind of woman, and we are seen as more masculine than other races of women. And so I do think that those ideals stem from slavery, and even like valuing, because like the whole Nick Cannon thing a few years ago when he was like, oh, being with a white woman is like telling the white man like we weren't allowed to have them, but now we got your women. And it's like, but that means that you're now valuing this white woman over Black women. I think a bigger slap in the face is saying, I don't want your woman. Like, not saying that you can't like be attracted to her. I'm just saying like, to see her as just a power struggle, to see a woman as just a power struggle between a different race of men is also a slavery mentality of like, ooh, I want Master's wife, so let me go get her because I wasn't allowed to have her. And I'm like, that's definitely a slavery like mentality. And you don't understand that that's also self-hate, because you're saying that a Black woman isn't as valuable as this white woman. So like I see like those types of things, but it's just like, again, like Black men know how to, again, like even when Black men are killed, right, at the hands of police officers and unjustly, we see Black men come out and get angry, and you also see Black women come out and get angry. But then when like Meg Thee Stallion gets shot, everybody wants to know what did she do?
What did she do?
And it's like, we don't, they're like black men who get killed unjustly who have, past and records, and they might have been in the middle of committed a crime. That doesn't mean that they deserve to die. Doesn't mean that they deserve to get shot by the police. So no matter what Megan Thee Stallion did as an unarmed woman, she didn't deserve to get shot. But they don't have the same energy towards a black woman as they have toward a black man that they don't know from Adam. Which they should have that same. They should say that to a black man, because like his dignity doesn't change depending on what he did if it wasn't like
it wasn't white.
But then also
what was that?
Instead of like handling the situation, you know what I mean? Like, or being like, yo, what happened? Blah, blah, blah. Obviously we don't know what happened like behind the scenes, but like coming out to say things instead of like men being like, yo, we need to sit men down and, you know what I mean, talk about, the protection of our black women. They were saying, oh, you said you wanted a hot girl summer. Oh, you said you wanted this. You know what I mean? And so you're making excuses for the fact that, you know what I mean, regardless of whether she cheated on him, regardless of whatever she did not deserve to be shot and then made fun of, because and we have this innate ability, like, or this feeling or whatever it is inside of us that makes us protect black men even when they aren't protecting us. Because I can think back to so many women in my life that I know personally that are literally protecting their abusers just because they feel like, as a black woman, I have to protect a black man. I have protected my abuser so many times. You know what I mean?
Meg tried to protect. What's his name? Tony. What's his name? Troy.
Tory Lanez.
Tory, yeah. He tried to protect him by keeping his name and him actually shooting her out for so long, but he's over here trying to go to all these publicists and media outlets and whatever and act a fool. And then Meg had to come out just recently and just be like, no, he was the one who shot me. Let's just not get it twisted. And I think even like Charlamagne the God was like, yeah, don't try to save them. These men don't want to be saved. So he wasn't deserving of it. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
It's like she had no way to win. She tried to protect him. They got mad at her. She told the truth. They got mad at her. There was literally nothing. It's a lose-lose. Like every excuse in the book now is like, well, we don't know the whole story.
Yeah, no, these men
don't need to know the whole story. If just better, like, it's like, again, it's like this. When police officers or when the public says that when a black man is killed or shot unjustly and people say, oh, we don't know the whole story and they were unarmed, it's like, wait, but like based on the information that we have, it's always like, but it could have been, but it could have been, or I was in fear for my life. And that's not enough. We don't take that as an excuse. And based on her account, it doesn't seem like that there would be any reason why he would be fearing for his life. So why would we take any excuse that he gave? If fearing for your life isn't a good enough excuse to shoot a black man, then anything less than that shouldn't be an excuse to shoot a black woman.
Yeah, I agree. And go ahead.
Oh, yeah, baby.
No, I was just gonna say, really. We're on the topic of protecting black women. One of the young women who kind of helped bring this resurgence of protecting black women. I'm probably going to butcher her name, but Oluwatoyin Salu or Salau. Call her Toyin for short. I'm sorry, sis. R.I.P. But today would have been her birthday. She was killed in Tallahassee, Florida. She was a prominent member of the Black Lives Matter movement. And she was in particularly just really vying for the attention of people against the violence of a trans and was really just fighting for trans lives to matter in conjunction with the Black Lives Matter movement. And she had tweeted that she had been assaulted and then come to find out later that she killed. there were some Black men out there in the public eye that were saying, you know, like, we have failed you. We failed this young Black woman. So I'm super grateful for the ones that are actually speaking out and, you know, disassociating themselves from men who are not protecting Black women, who are, you know, known abusers. So shout outs to the men that are doing their part. But please, for y'all who are doing your part, get the other men together, like gather your men and make sure that they're doing right by the rest of us. So R.I.P. Toyin, we love you. Happy birthday.
Get your mans in them.
Get your mans in them.
And be consistent, because y'all say protect black women in one breath, and then you go on not protecting Black women in
foolishness your own self.
Right, because I haven't seen that many male celebrities speak out for Megan Thee Stallion.
No, not for Megan.
Thank God she's still alive. But then if she had died, then everybody was like, rest in peace, we should have protected her. But then when she's alive to tell her side of the story, y'all still don't believe her. So like I don't want Black women to have to die, to continue to die for Black men to start to believe that Black women need protection. I would love for more Black women to live to tell their stories and not have to deal with that, and also not have to continue to endure abuse. So
at your hands, Black men.
So I guess this will be like our little final, like, you know, little wrap up or whatever, but what do you think that Black men can do to better protect Black women? We can just like do a shotgun, like, you know, I feel like a lot of Black men protect Black women that they're interested in a romantic relationship. And I think that Black women will look out for you even if they aren't interested in you romantically. You know, so I think that we need to normalize caring for Black women outside of romantic relationships.
Absolutely. And speaking up when you see anyone speaking ill about Black women as a collective, or even specifically about a Black woman that you may actually see the encounter.
I think that Black men, they really need to take a good, long, hard look at themselves, that they need to get healing on their own. And if these Black men are loving themselves like God has called us to do, I think that they would be able to love women better. We're supposed to love our neighbor as ourselves. And I think that, like we talked about earlier, there's a lot of Black men who hate themselves and just don't know how to love us properly. So I really think that they need to seek God for wisdom on how to love themselves and how to love their sisters better.
I think I even see Christian men not protecting Black women well. So
most of whom I'm talking about, like when I think of recent, when I say recent, like I think of recent real life experiences, I think that I'm struggling finding one that doesn't include a Christian man that I know.
Yeah, and that's why Christian men need to go to Jesus too. All men need to have a come to Jesus moment and be like, look, God, search my heart. Where am I lacking? Where have I sisters? How can I do better? So yeah, all men, regardless of your religion, y'all need to seek God, seek your creator on how to love better.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I would add also going to the Black women in your life and asking them specifically how you might be able to protect them. And also picking back on what you said, Alyssa, about protecting women that you are in a romantic relationship with. I think that also, I think that there's an assumption that Black men protect like their mothers and their sisters and blah, blah, blah. But that might not be the case. And so also considering how you are treating your Black women relatives, because that starts, like, I was having a conversation online the other day because it was like this thing about like this funny video about a woman pumping the gas, and like the guy was like in the driver's seat, like taking a picture, smiling while the girl was pumping the gas. And then, like, you know, like whatever in your relationship, you know, if you're fine with pumping the gas while he's sitting in the car, that's up to you. I will not touch a gas thing while my husband's in the car, but that's just me, right? But then there were some people in the comment section like they could be siblings. You don't know the backstory. And I'm like, a man who wouldn't pump the gas for his sister, but would pump the gas for his mate, no, like if my husband's opening my door and he's not opening the door for his sister and his mother, I would be like, if he's like not like
opening the door for his mother and his sister, what makes me think he's gonna open my door?
right, or at least do it consistently without complaining. So I'm like, why would like it don't matter, like in my opinion, it didn't matter who the woman was. And so like the fact that people are like, well, it could have been his sister, I'm like, that would be worse. Like I don't know. Like, yeah, she could have, he was like, well, she could have been a woman who didn't care about that. That could be true, but just generally saying it could have been his sister also implies that a man shouldn't treat his sister well.
Right.
And so, again, like I'm not saying specifically that every man should pump gas, but that's up to you. But I'm just saying that the sentiment that some men had that if it was his sister, that it would change the situation was what was alarming to me, because I don't think that it being your sister should change how you treat women. Mm-hmm. If anything, you should be treating her well, not worse off than your mate. Now, like obviously there are ways that are specific to your significant other that you might treat them, but I'm not talking about in those ways. You know what I mean? But just like general things that I think are like, what? But yeah.
They need to have like some type of etiquette school for these men, because I feel like some of them, they just have not ever seen it and don't even think to do it. Like they need to just be schooled. Like these are the things that we would like for you to do. We would like for you to open the door. We would like for you to pump the gas. In case nobody ever told you, these are the things that we would like for you to do. Since somehow you have missed this somehow, please just let me help you out. So
yeah, I mean,
guys that do
but
that.
I also think it's a value thing too, because they may do that for other types of women. We don't know. And so there's also like finding value and worth in Black women.
And then there are also the Black women that are like, I just want to pump the myself. But
I think that's fine. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that you have to. I'm just saying, like, as a general, we're just doing social commentary based off of this picture, talking about it could have been a sister is dumb. So like that's all I was saying. Like that whoever that is, if she said nah, I got it, that's her prerogative. But the relationship changing shouldn't be the variable that would make you
that was
out of the car.
Yeah, I'm never gonna like if you're in the car, like I'm never gonna pump gas. Don't assume that.
Right, because I was like, I don't care what man. Like I'm like, all right, I'll pay. You know, if it's somebody that's not like my significant other, I would pay for it. Like if I was giving somebody a ride, but you gonna sit here and pump this gas? You riding in my car and you ain't gonna pump my gas? Boy, bye.
That's like me putting air in my tire and you watching me. First off, I don't know how to do that well. So, but what's another way? I'm trying to think of like another way that I feel like I would feel protected as a Black woman.
Walking women to the car, or like seeing them to the car.
I've had to ask for so much help as a single Black, like a single mom, like a single mom and also a Black woman. Mm-hmm. Even in Christian spaces, I've had to ask for so much help and also follow up on people. I've had people like, men, I've had Black men fall through and not come through when they said they were going to come through. I've had those same Black men ask me for help in situations, and I've come through and they still have yet to come through for me. Even as a single mom, you know? So like for me, I think that like be a man of your word is like very key. You know what I mean? Because like, especially if like that Black woman doesn't have a ton of support, like being consistent support, whether you're romantically interested or not, is definitely key, I think.
Yeah, I think support is definitely a big one. Like, I remember when I bought my first house and I was single, it was like pulling teeth to get like men to come to the house to help do stuff around the house. I mean, I eventually like found just like my go-to like, you know, male friends at the church, but like it was like I might have gotten like one guy who didn't know me and didn't like me to come out because he actually was interested in my friend. I think that was the only reason why he came out. Again, like, so it's like if they don't like you, because if you can see like if a girl that they like says something like, oh yeah, you know, we got a car full coming over, but then like I'm like
themselves being with you romantically, then they're just not gonna
Right. Like you coming over to paint a wall is gonna like make us fall. I'm not inviting you because I want you. I'm inviting you because I need help. I mean I've even had men like, yeah.
And as my brother in Christ,
Fine.
I need help, and you know what I mean.
And men who actually did come through faithfully, they were like criticized for it. Like that was wrong to serve someone who you're not interested in. It was like, ooh, like you got to your motive. It's like, no, he's just my friend.
Fix their mouths. Those same black men fix their mouths to say, "Oh, these black women are getting too ahead of themselves, or they are too assertive, or they have too bossy, or they have too many leadership skills, and they should be more passive, or they should be more Proverbs 31." And it's like, STFU.
Yeah, I mean, I've had someone who told me that I was expecting boyfriend duties from him like moving a chair in his car. I'm like, boy, this is this is not boyfriend duties. If this is boyfriend duties for you, like, boy, you watching my YouTube channel, plug behind the house. You watch my YouTube channel, you like, boy, like you see all the stuff that my husband be doing, and you talk about putting a chair in your car was boyfriend duties, boy, bye.
But like, I would put a chair in my friend's car,
right?
Without anything romantic attached to it. You know what I mean?
At the time, he offered to come help me that day. I'm like, I didn't even ask you. You asked me what I was doing that day, and I told you what I was gonna do it anyways. You offered because you wanted to. He was interested in me. He offered to help. It was more sweat than what he was bargaining for apparently, and he got mad at me for it. Like I was expecting too much. If anybody thinks I'm expecting too much from them, and it's some like manual labor type stuff, like there are men who I don't know who would move me. Like, if when I was single, like who I would ask to move and they would help me move. So I'm like, I didn't even ask you to help me move. We're not even getting there yet. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, these are little things.
Don't share. Good night.
Yeah, goodbye, good night. I don't got time. But yeah, so we said some stuff, but again, I go back to ask the women in your life how you might be able to serve them or protect them as Black women. And also just when you see general ask yourself when you see general language and trash takes on Black women, how do you really feel about that? And if it's not, and if you tend to agree, or you yourself might have a trash take, then you should check yourself on that. Like my good sis Marvelyn said, you need to examine yourself and figure it out. And then if you disagree, then say something.
Yeah.
I'm giving up on you.
And if you don't know, ask. Mm-hmm. If you don't know, ask. I promise you, almost every Black woman I know will tell you how you can better serve Black women as a whole.
For them specifically, because we got some projects. I know Alyssa always got some.
What?
I know Alyssa always got something like I need somebody to help me put this dresser together.
I always got projects. Bro. Always. And what ends up happening is like I have strangers that help me. Like I have strangers that look out and that are not Black men that look out more than Black men. You know what I mean?
I typically will pay for my piece because honestly, like if I sat around and waited for Black men to like step up and help me, I would be waiting forever. So
like I'll have like, the guys who did the flooring, like they throw in stuff for free, or they do this kind of labor for free for me because they see I'm a single mom. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have people that are like this older guy, and it's not just our generation of men. It's older Black men too. So this older guy at Lowe's says to me, I was looking at push lawnmowers. He says to me, okay, I'm not another day, another time. He says to me, oh, you're going to cut your lawn yourself? I say, yes, I am. He was like, oh, look at you, a strong Black independent woman. I said, I am woman, hear me roar. Obviously being sarcastic. And I said, well, I've tasked men with the job and they have come up short every single time. And so he said, well, maybe you tasked the wrong man with the job. Maybe you need a real man to be tasked with the job. I was like,
well, that's you. In aisle 2? Like,
So you 60 years old, you're only going to cut my grass if I'm romantically interested in you.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. No, thank you. I'm not interested in gambling. Have a great day. I'd rather pay somebody than to sit up here and entertain you for romantic interest just so I can get my grass cut.
Yeah, that's.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's trash.
Other stories will have to be for another day, but
another day, another time.
So that's just
another day, another dollar.
No. That's just one example.
You just muted yourself. Oh, you did that on purpose.
I did it on purpose. I was just going off on my kid because she's sitting right. And she keeps.
I see her mouth moving. Was she on mute? I'm like, oh, she's trying to. You know.
I blew up the spot. Sorry.
You know,
sometimes when I was going off on him, I had my mouth in the mic, like.
You know what's good though about Zoom and that what's the other thing we used? Anchor is that you can't mute Anchor. So you got stuff on in your background. You gotta. I mean, that's the thing about Zoom. Is like, dang, I'm on video. People be tripping, but at least you can mute it. And you can also
you just see it muted while I go off on these kids. But yeah. Any last thoughts, comments, concerns?
I realized more how exhausted this conversation was after having it. I thought I would have more energy for it, but I just realized that I'm exhausted by having this. Like, this conversation just reminded me. Like, it's something I feel like I wanted to talk about, and I feel like needed to be talked about, and I feel passionate about it. But it's also like, especially like seeing how Black women have been treated recently. Mm-hmm. It's just like
it's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
And we still need justice for Breonna Taylor. So there's that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Period. Any last comments, Marvelyn?
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Go call your mama.
Ask her how you can better serve her. All right, guys.
That was our first.
Thank you for joining us. Season 2, episode 1 of Speak Brown Girl. Speak Brown Girl.
Out.
Disclaimer, this podcast is in no way a replacement for a licensed therapist for any mental or relationship issues you may have or are experiencing. If you are in need of a therapist, we recommend therapyforblackgirls.com. And if you are without insurance, we recommend the Open Path Collective. If you're a new listener to Speak Brown Girl, welcome. We would love to hear from you. Make sure that you rate, review, subscribe, and share with your friends. Speak Brown Girl.
Out.